All right, so today we're diving deep into, well, the fall of the Berlin Wall.
Oh, wow.
Talk about a day that like changed the course of history.
Yeah.
1 minute, it's this imposing symbol of a divided world. The next, poof, people are like dancing on top of it. How did that even happen?
It's really remarkable, isn't it?
I've always found that totally mind-blowing.
It really is. And it wasn't just that the wall came down. It's what it represented, Looking for better opportunities, more freedom.
Yeah.
They had to stop the flow somehow.
So their solution was to build a wall.
Literally overnight.
Overnight. Can you imagine the chaos?
It was August 13th, 1961.
Wow.
People woke up to find their city divided families, separated streets blocked off by barbed wire and armed guards.
Jeez.
There's this really poignant story of a young boy who got separated from his mother during the construction.
Oh, no.
He was on the eastern side, she was on the western side, and all he could do was cry as the wall went up between them.
Oh, wow. That's heartbreaking.
It is.
It's easy to forget about the human cost of these huge historical events.
Yeah.
So what was it actually like living in East Berlin once the wall was up?
Life was very controlled.
Okay.
The economy was struggling, basic goods were scarce, and there was this constant sense of being watched.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the Stasi, the East German secret police were notorious.
Right.
They had informants everywhere. People were encouraged to report on their neighbors.
Really?
Even their own family members.
Wow, was it really that bad? Like spying on your own family?
Absolutely. They tapped phones, they intercepted mail, they even bugged people's apartments.
Wow.
They wanted to know everything that was being said and done.
Yeah.
They used this vast network of informants to create a climate of fear and silence.
So people were just afraid to speak out then?
Oh, yeah. People were afraid to speak their minds, afraid to criticize the government, afraid to even think the wrong thoughts.
That's chilling.
It was.
You mentioned escape attempts earlier, and I remember that story from the documentary about the young man trying to climb over the wall.
And he was shot.
Yeah.
Sadly, that wasn't an isolated incident.
Right.
The East German border guards had orders to shoot anyone attempting to cross the wall without authorization.
Wow.
Many people died trying to reach freedom.
It's hard to imagine the desperation that would drive someone to take such a risk.
It is.
But as we know, things eventually changed.
They did.
So there must have been some cracks starting to show in this seemingly impenetrable system, right?
Yes, the 1980s brought about a wave of changes.
Right.
In the Soviet Union, Gorbachev was introducing reforms like perestroika and glasnost.
Right.
These aimed to restructure the Soviet economy and open up society a bit, allowing for more freedom of speech and information.
I'm guessing these reforms had a ripple effect across Eastern Europe.
Exactly. People in East Germany, inspired by movements for change in Poland and Hungary, started to demand more freedom and democracy themselves. Protests began to erupt, and the East German government, already facing economic problems and pressure from the Soviet Union, started to lose control.
So how did we go from protests and Gorbachev to a wall literally coming down? I mean, that's a pretty huge leap.
Well, on November 9th, 1989, Günter Schabowski, an East German official, held a press conference.
Okay.
He was supposed to announce some relaxed travel restrictions, but he seemed confused,
Oh, really?
fumbling through his notes, and then he uttered those now famous words.
Okay.
The new regulations would be effective immediately without delay.
Wait, so this huge historical turning point happened because of like a confused press conference?
Yeah, it was a moment where history seemed to hinge on a misstatement.
That's wild.
It really is. East Berliners, hearing the news on TV and radio, rushed to the border crossings,
Wow.
demanding to be let through.
So what happened? Did they call in the army or try to stop people?
The border guards were completely caught off guard, unsure of what to do.
Yeah.
They were used to enforcing strict control,
Right.
and suddenly they were faced with thousands of people demanding their freedom.
Yeah.
So in the face of this overwhelming pressure and without clear orders from their superiors, the guards made a fateful decision.
What did they do?
They opened the gates and let the people through, let them pass.
Wow, I get chills just thinking about it.
Simple words, but they echoed through history.
All those years of division and fear and oppression,
It's incredible, isn't it?
and it all came crashing down in a single night.
It did.
But it wasn't just about that one moment, was it?
No, it was the culmination of years of growing pressure, both from within East Germany and from the changing political landscape in the Soviet Union and Eastern Europe.
Right.
The wall had become a symbol of oppression, and its fall was a symbolic victory for freedom and democracy.
So I guess the wall coming down wasn't just some random event.
No.
It was like a perfect storm of internal pressure,
Yeah.
external influences, and maybe even a bit of luck.
Exactly. It was a moment where history seemed to be hanging in the balance, and a seemingly small event, a confused announcement, tipped the scales, and the impact was felt far beyond Berlin.
Okay, this is incredible, but I have so many more questions.
Of course.
What happened next? Did the wall just disappear overnight? What about the people who had been separated for so long?
Well, that's where things get even more fascinating.
All right.
We'll dive into the aftermath and the global impact of the wall's fall right after this.
Okay, so the wall's open. People are flooding through. What happens next?
Right.
I mean, Germany had been divided for decades.
For so long.
What did it even look like to try and, like, stitch a country back together after all that time?
It was a monumental task, you know?
Yeah.
Imagine trying to merge two completely different systems, politically, economically, socially.
Yeah.
East Germany had been under communist rule for over 40 years.
Right.
They had a different currency, a different legal system,
Wow.
even a different mindset.
It's like trying to fit puzzle pieces that don't quite match.
Exactly.
There must have been some serious growing pains trying to make all that work.
Absolutely. There were economic disparities, social tensions, even cultural clashes.
Yeah.
It took years
Oh, I bet.
of negotiations, compromises, and a lot of goodwill on both sides to work through it all.
Yeah.
But ultimately, the desire for a unified Germany prevailed.
I bet the celebrations were once the reunification was official.
Oh, absolutely. October 3rd, 1990.
Okay.
The day of German reunification was a massive celebration.
I can imagine.
Imagine Berlin, once a symbol of division, now the heart of a reunified nation. There were concerts, fireworks, speeches by world leaders.
Wow.
But the most powerful images, I think, were of ordinary people.
Right.
Families and friends reunited after decades of separation, celebrating their newfound freedom and unity.
Yeah, I remember seeing footage of people chipping away at the wall, taking pieces home as souvenirs.
Yeah.
It must have felt like
It's powerful.
a physical manifestation of, like, breaking down barriers, not just in Germany, but all over the world.
You're absolutely right. The fall of the Berlin Wall had this ripple effect that extended far beyond Germany's borders.
Yeah.
It was seen as a symbolic victory for democracy and freedom over communism.
Right.
And it emboldened people in other communist countries to demand
It's
change.
like dominoes falling.
Exactly.
One by one, communist regimes in Eastern Europe started to crumble. Poland, Hungary, Czechoslovakia, Romania.
Yeah.
It really did feel like a whole new world was emerging.
It was an incredibly transformative period.
Yeah.
The fall of the Berlin Wall wasn't just the end of an era, it was the beginning of a new one. It showed that seemingly insurmountable obstacles could be overcome, that people's power could triumph over authoritarianism.
Yeah.
And it had a profound impact on global politics, shifting the balance of power and ushering in a period of relative peace and stability in Europe.
It's kind of hard to wrap your head around the scale of it all.
It is.
But even beyond the geopolitical shifts, the fall of the Berlin Wall continues to resonate in so many ways.
It does.
It's this enduring symbol of hope and the power of the human spirit, right?
Precisely, the wall's legacy goes far beyond politics. It's a reminder that even in the darkest of times,
Yeah.
even when faced with seemingly impossible barriers, hope can endure.
Hope can endure.
It's a testament to the resilience of the human spirit, the desire for freedom and connection, the willingness to fight for a better future.
You know, it's interesting because even though the Berlin Wall is gone, we still see walls going up all over the world.
We do.
Not just physical walls, but like metaphorical ones. Walls of fear, prejudice, and tolerance.
That's a really important point. The fall of the Berlin Wall teaches us that walls in all their forms are ultimately unsustainable. They might seem like solutions in the short term,
Right.
but they create division, they stifle progress, and ultimately they fail to address the underlying issues.
So what's the takeaway here? Is the lesson of the Berlin Wall that we should just tear down all walls, all boundaries, no matter what?
It's not quite that simple.
Okay.
The fall of the Berlin Wall wasn't just about tearing down a physical barrier.
Yeah.
It was about tearing down the barriers that divide us,
Out.
the ideologies, the prejudices, the fears that keep us apart.
Okay.
It's about recognizing our shared humanity, our common aspirations, and working together to build bridges instead of walls.
That's a powerful message, especially in today's world, where it feels like we're constantly bombarded with news of division and conflict.
It is.
Do you think the story of the Berlin Wall can offer any guidance in navigating these challenges?
I think it absolutely can.
Right.
The Berlin Wall reminds us that change is possible even when it seems impossible. It shows us that even the most entrenched systems of oppression can be challenged and overcome.
Right.
And it highlights the importance of dialogue, understanding, and empathy in building a more just and peaceful world.
You know, it's funny because we're talking about this event from decades ago, but it feels so relevant today.
It does, doesn't it?
It's like the Berlin Wall wasn't just a historical event. It was a turning point in human consciousness.
I think you're on to something there. The fall of the Berlin Wall wasn't just about the reunification of Germany. It was a symbolic victory for humanity. It showed us what's possible when we choose hope over fear, unity over division, and freedom over oppression.
And that's a message that will continue to resonate no matter what challenges we face in the future.
Absolutely.
But I'm curious what happened to the actual wall.
Right.
Did it just disappear overnight?
Well,
what about all those people who risked their lives trying to cross it? I mean, their stories deserve to be remembered.
absolutely. The remnants of the Berlin Wall have become powerful memorials, serving as a reminder of the past and a beacon of hope for the future. And the stories of those who lived through the division, who fought for freedom, who lost loved ones, those stories are crucial to understanding the true human cost of the wall and the profound impact of its fall.
Okay, so we've talked about the immediate aftermath, the global impact, the symbolism.
Right.
But I'm wondering about the long-term legacy of the Berlin Wall. What can we learn from it today besides the fact that walls, both literal and figurative, are generally a bad idea?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
And one that leads us to some even deeper insights about the nature of division resilience and the enduring human spirit, and that's what we'll explore in the final part of our deep dive.
So we've talked about the immediate impact of the wall coming down and the ripple effect it had across the world. But I'm curious about the long-term legacy. How does the fall of the Berlin Wall continue to shape our world today beyond just being a symbol of hope?
Well, one of the most striking things is how the Berlin Wall has become this canvas for art and expression.
Yeah.
After it fell, artists from all over the world flocked to Berlin,
Right.
transforming sections of the wall into these vibrant murals.
Yeah.
They used art to reflect on the themes of division, oppression, freedom, and unity,
Okay.
turning a symbol of oppression into this testament to human creativity and resilience.
Yeah, I've seen pictures of those murals.
Yeah.
They're incredible. It's amazing how something so stark and imposing could become a platform for such powerful art.
It really is. It's a testament to the transformative power of art.
Yeah.
You know, it can take something that represents darkness and division and turn it into a source of hope, inspiration, and reflection.
Right.
And the Berlin Wall continues to inspire artists, writers, filmmakers, and musicians even today.
Really?
Oh, yeah. It's become a touchstone for exploring themes of political change, social justice, the human condition.
You know, it makes you think about the nature of walls themselves. We build them to keep things out, to create boundaries, but they often end up trapping us too.
That's a really insightful observation. The Berlin Wall, in its physical form, was meant to keep people in to control them.
Right.
But in a way, it also trapped the East German government, isolating them from the world and ultimately hastening their own demise.
Wow.
It's a reminder that walls can be prisons for those who build them as much as for those they're meant to confine.
Yeah, it's like that old saying, those who build walls often end up imprisoned by them.
Exactly.
But back to the legacy beyond art. How else does the Berlin Wall continue to influence the way we think about the world?
Well, it's this constant reminder that change is possible.
Yeah.
Even when it seems impossible for decades, the Berlin Wall seemed like this permanent fixture, a symbol of a divided world.
Right.
And then almost overnight, it was gone. It shows us that even the most entrenched systems of power can be challenged and overthrown, that power can prevail, and that hope should never be extinguished.
It's a powerful lesson, especially in times like these, when the world feels so uncertain and divided.
Absolutely. The fall of the Berlin Wall reminds us that we should never take our freedoms for granted. It teaches us the importance of speaking out against injustice, of standing up for what we believe in, and of working together to build a more just and equitable world.
You know, it's funny. We started this deep dive talking about a specific historical event, the fall of the Berlin Wall.
Yeah.
But we've ended up talking about art, politics, philosophy, even human nature.
Yeah.
It just goes to show how history is never just about the past. It's always relevant to the present and the future.
You've hit the nail on the head. The fall of the Berlin Wall wasn't just a moment in time. It was a turning point in human consciousness. It continues to challenge us to think critically about the world around us, to question assumptions, to fight for what's right, and to never give up hope for a better future.
So as we wrap up our deep dive, I think the question we should leave our listeners with is this: What walls, both literal and metaphorical, still exist in our world today?
Mhm.
And what can we do individually and collectively to break them down?
That's the perfect question because the legacy of the Berlin Wall isn't just about remembering the past. It's about using the lessons we've learned to build a future where such walls never rise again. A future where freedom, unity, and understanding prevail.
Well said. Thanks for joining us on this journey through history. Remember, the fall of the Berlin Wall reminds us that even the seemingly impossible can become possible. So go out there, challenge those walls, and make your own mark on the world.